Good morning and welcome to a new episode today, this morning with GNTALKS. As usual, we always explore the insights and journeys of influential leaders. But today, please welcome with me a very special and young entrepreneur, one of the leading figures in the UAE, Mr. Zain Khan himself. Good morning, how are you doing today?
Good morning, thank you. I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for having me here today.
Of course. We want to learn and know more about the companies that you own. But before we go into more details, if we were to say, who is Mr. Zain Khan today? How would you describe yourself?
What I'd like to say who I am is someone that is pure hustling mindset person. I've tried and tested, failed, and succeeded in a lot of things, and I'd like to say, I don't want to use the word entrepreneur because these days everyone uses that word.
Okay.
But what I'd like to say is that I'm a very deep down a core passionate person about business, and I live and strive for that.
Amazing. So now we want to get to know, more details about that on a personal level. But before we get into the details, so we know that you have two companies, Houses Group and Zane Developments.
That's correct.
So how do you differentiate both of these companies?
So Zane Development is its own entity when it comes to developing buildings, retail, commercial spots in and around the city, and further on having global expansion plans as well. And Houses Group is, you can say, an entity that controls 2 to 3 different divisions within the group itself.
Okay.
Being in media, asset management, the brokerage with buying and leasing, and at the same time we have maintenance services. So it's its own big company that was established since 2017.
Okay.
But at the end of the day, it's its own entity, and Zane Development is its own entity as well.
Okay, so let's talk about Zane Developments. So you guys have not been long in the market, but you guys have a very positive reputation in the market. What do you believe is the reason for this positive reputation and success on such an early stage?
Oh, thank you for that. Truthfully, it's all about credibility, like you said, and Zane Development, I don't want to use the word special, but we are out of the box when it comes to development itself, purely because we are one of the only commercial focused developer in the country.
Okay.
And by that, I mean we don't do residential developments, or we don't have plans to do residential developments in the near future. We are purely focused on building office spaces, retail, malls, anything that touches commercial is our expertise.
Okay, interesting. So what makes Zane Development stand, different than other competition in the market, especially in Dubai?
So when it comes to our competition, and I think I mentioned this at a previous event at Forbes as well, I don't look at other developers as my competitors,
Okay.
because we're a commercial developer, we create spaces for business entities, which means in terms that, let's say a company like, even Goffman's, take it for example, they would one day require a space to operate from, or any one of our competitors when it comes to the development, whether it be Amwaj, Frescott, XYZ, they all need office spaces to operate. So the reason I say that they're not my competition is because I am complementary to their business, as I'm providing the infrastructure to the city where business can operate from.
Okay.
Whereas a residential developer would sell to the general public, people for end user, or holiday homes, or any that kind of sort.
Okay. So we know that you also have a lot of AI technologies in these developments. So what kind of AI technologies do you guys have?
So, it's pretty rudimentary currently right now. We're not talking too much in depth of it.
Okay.
But the idea, the formulation, the numbers, they're all backtracked with AI.
Okay.
Yes, we have architects, we have engineers, we have, you can say our finance managers, whatever, that come up with their own model. But I use AI to verify, think outside the box in ways that people uh, kind of miss out on. I use AI practically on a day-to-day basis to make the decisions that are required to, you can say, speed up business processes.
Okay.
Whether that means that if we're talking how to optimize our profit margins, or maybe even the spaces, or even just to get a feedback from the collective market, where I don't need to go out and talk to 100 people. I can just ask, I don't know, ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever to give me those answers, and it's rapid, it's instant.
Okay.
And I'm a favor, I very much like to get into speed of things. I'm someone that if something is due today, I'll do it right now. If something is due tomorrow, I'll do it today.
Okay, so you do not what's the word? Procrastinate.
Yeah.
Okay, so since you went into this topic, this is a question I love to ask to very successful people like yourself. How did you start into the industry?
So I started in and again, thank you again. I started in 2017, and I started with the brokerage, or you can say, like buying and selling, normal broker kind of
Okay.
business. And my first office was like around 600 something square foot. And I remember starting it with one agent and one admin, and then we just started scaling from there. It was very challenging in the beginning because I didn't know much. I jumped with both feet in because I saw what others were doing, and I'm like, okay, how do I make this better?
Okay.
And it's all about for me to find a gap in the market and penetrate that with the, you can say, whether it's with customer service or numbers, or even your engagement or networking at that point. So I wanted to basically understand what it took to sell.
Okay.
How do I be a professional salesman in that sort? And the idea was, if I can sell for others, and frankly speaking, we've done over billions worth of transaction when it comes in real estate, 3 point something billion to be specific.
Wow.
When it comes to the brokerage side of things, we, or me personally, like I wanted to really kind of grasp the real estate sector, and that meant knowing how to sell for others before doing it for my own. And for me, I knew that when I started doing the brokerage, I knew development was the end goal.
Okay.
So I knew from the very first thing that this is where I want to reach, and I wanted to do it the long way or the hard way.
Okay.
Because if I had taken the easy route, which I see happening a lot these days, people just landing in this country, buying a plot, giving it to an architect without understanding the fundamentals, without having that level of confidence, I wanted to have that in-house.
Okay. So I like to hear these types of stories, especially when it comes to challenges. So what is a challenge that at one point you had to overcome?
In which
When you first initially started? Because
Oh,
many people give up.
yeah. Honestly, me personally, there was a lot of challenges actually, because it was that I came from a family that was already well established, so I didn't have to work too hard in the beginning.
Okay.
But when I started the business, I realized that no, I have to fend for myself. I have to take rejection in a manner that I don't overwork myself, because these days people are so afraid of rejection, and it's how to overcome that rejection part. It really makes a big difference. So for me in the beginning was how to learn and understand that what it took to really sell, and how to face rejections, how to overcome those particular challenges was one of the first component. And the second part, which I'd like to say, is the network. And people say, your network is your network. So I didn't really have a network in the beginning.
Okay.
So it was purely me going out and try to like connect with new sources, how to make new friends, how to like understand the industry. Everything took time, and having patience is a very critical component in this business.
Yeah.
So and there's nothing, and everyone says, no, you got to learn this, you need that skill, you need this. No, it's all hard work, and it's all about having patience. I don't know what you call it, dedication, or
Yeah.
even pure resilience is very, very important for any entrepreneur or anyone that's starting out a business. It's just having the right mindset, never giving up, and that was for me was the biggest challenge, is that I knew that it would take time, and I just had to like bite down and just keep hammering it again and again. And that's what I meant about the failures and success, is that you need to fail in order for you to understand that this is what it takes to succeed.
What is one quote that you truly believe in when times get tough and hard? What's one quote that you would say to yourself?
Honestly, I don't believe in quotes that much.
Okay.
But it's just don't give up.
Don't give up. So to all the audience that's watching us now that want to be in your shoes one day, you would tell them not to give up.
100%, because I met a lot of people that are very successful in their own fields. Some that have views that differ to mine.
Yes.
Some that I don't agree with. Some that I wonder how they even got to the position. And what I really learned is that there's a common denominator between all these people, different aspects of life.
True.
The only one common denominator that I saw is that they didn't give up. They reached where they reached just because they were like very, very adamant that they wanted to get here. Whether you are a businessman or you are a doctor or technician, media entrepreneur, anything, you just can't give up.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure many will be inspired by what you are saying and telling us today. So I want to ask you, how do you see the real estate industry these days, and where do you potentially see the real estate in the next few years?
A lot of people ask me all the time, and the best answer is to give no answer, in the sense that we don't know where we will be in the future.
Okay.
Yes, it's positive, I will tell you that.
Okay.
In the sense that this country is, for me, this country, I look at it as my own, that I've been and brought up here. I was 2 when they first, my parents moved in here. My family has been here for over 37 years.
Okay.
So the future is always bright. And in the sense that real estate is never a bad option. It's the one business that will always be there forever. Yes, land is scarce. However, we need to understand that development and people will always need a place to stay.
Okay.
Businesses will always need a place to operate. And with what the initiative the government and His Highness has come up with, and the visions of 2020, the visions of 2030, with all the infrastructure that they've invested toward billions, is a good factor for us to understand that we're going to go from here to here regardless.
Okay.
It will never be at a downward slope, because and I say this all the time to our investors and things, that a lot of the countries have had history.
Yeah.
We are living in that history right now.
Oh, nice. I like that. So let's talk more about Zane Development and more into depth. So you guys have a lot of off-plan projects.
Yeah. So that's for us in as a development. A lot of people need to understand the way commercial developers work around the world. Not everything will be available for sale, and for us, it's the ROI.
Okay.
We're very number focused, and what I wanted to do when I first started this company, and with our board directors, the family, and making everyone understand that we're in it for the long run.
Of course.
We're not just any company that's just gonna be coming in, and a few years later we disappeared. We don't know who we are. We're focusing heavily on our branding. We're focusing heavily on PR, making people understand that who we are and what value we bring to the market. And one of our core components, as you can say, our mission vision, is that the investor always has to make money.
The investor always does.
And that is very important to me. The reason being that a lot of developers today are literally trying to squeeze every single dirham out of the investor or the end user or anyone that's looking to buy, But for us, we looked at it as, how do I make sure that the first initial investor makes money, and at the same time giving them 9 to 10% return onwards, because that's the RM goal, at least. And being a commercial developer, and something, this is what might be strange for a few agents or investors, that okay, we started Monarch, which is one of our current projects right now.
Okay.
It's available for sale, but the few projects that we want to do, or the ones that we've done previously, we didn't sell those. We kept it as asset holdings, because we were getting 17 to 19% returns yearly.
Okay, can you share more details about the flagship project that you guys have in Motor City?
Yeah. So Monarch is a truly unique, or one of its kind project, because one, it's a low-rise boutique luxury building.
Okay.
We carefully selected who we wanted to sell to initially.
Okay.
We opened up our inventory to those business owners or those entities that are really wanting something special. And at the same time, we then put it out to the market for everyone else to then invest into it. It has retail, it has paddle court on the top, an amphitheater, something that would be enough for the end user, but that wouldn't burden the service charges of the building.
Okay. And most of your projects, are they high-rise towers, low-rise towers? And do you believe that residents in the UAE, or people that are looking to stay, would they prefer? What do you, in your opinion, think that?
So it really is subjective, in the case that it's all based on area. Where we're talking about, let's say if I was in Motor City, I would like low-rise, because I'm a little outside, not in the main central zone.
Okay.
So I would prefer low-rise, something similar to where our office is here in Dubai Hills. Low-rise, in my opinion, is always better than high-rise for a building.
Okay.
Reason being, you don't have to wait long elevators.
Okay.
This is what the commercial current infrastructure is. People have to wait a long time for elevators, parking difficulties. So you have all these components that are really subjective. So for me, my first project, I wanted a big plot, low rise, a grand entrance, and you can see that very easily with our development as well, that it has a very nice facade, very elegant, very, in a way that it kind of belongs near the water, but at the same time it's centrally located in the commercial zone of Dubai land.
Okay, interesting. Now let's talk more about the Founders Club incentive that you have for the top agents.
Yeah.
Can you share more details about this?
Founders Club basically is an idea that I came up with, especially with the brokerage. I wanted to kind of repay back something to the agents that work within the entity, and letting them know that if you achieve a certain milestone, that we would go above and beyond to help you achieve better, whether it's money-wise or status-wise, or even just the giving the aspect of luxury for our own brokers in-house. But it's still a working process. We're gonna be implementing it probably within the next quarter, and it's a way for us to give back and a way to incentivize the agents within the company.
Interesting. A question: how many employees do you have in both companies total?
So within the houses group and Zane Developments, we're talking around 160 something.
Okay.
But if we're talking the full conglomerate between Dubai, India, Nepal, and Nigeria, we're talking over around between 400 to 500 people. Almost,
Okay.
yeah.
Well done. So, where were you initially based? So, you did mention India, Nepal, and Nigeria.
Yeah.
So, where did you first start?
So when I started, you can say, my professional career, right before I started the agency, I was working with my family in the hotel. So we do have hotels here in the country as well.
Okay. Do you want to name some hotel names?
Yeah, it's called Zane International Hotel,
Okay.
Royalton, Dreamland, and Zane East. So these are the hotels that are mainly in the old Dubai,
Okay.
in the Dare side, or Dubai side. So all the hotels are there. So I was working very closely with my family, and they're in the hospitality zone. You know, that's
Okay.
their specialty.
So, you got the luxury aspect maybe from the hospitality itself, do you believe?
Yeah, in a way, yes, because you're very in touch with how to provide the right engagement for a client or customer that walks in, and making sure that someone feels special.
Okay.
So that ethos also runs, because we come from that segment as a family. However, real estate has always been in our DNA
Okay.
from the very get-go. Even my father, when he first started his career, he started in real estate as well, before he went on to being a hotel magnate, if you want to call it.
Okay. So, I just found out prior to this interview that you also have a baby boy. So, would you advise in the future for your baby boy to also carry on this legend?
Oh, he must.
He
Just-
could, yeah. So you would also see him in the real estate.
Oh, yeah, because look, as a kid, I was given the option or luxury to try out things,
Okay.
in my family. But I mean, I could be biased, but honestly, I feel like real estate there's nothing better than this. Other people might, have a different view, and other people might say, no, I want to get into tech or finance or something. But real estate is brick and mortar. It's solid. It's touch and feel. It's gonna be there. It's a numbers game that can be bet with proper accurate figures.
Okay.
Whereas if you were to compare it to the stock market or bonds, or it's sort of a gamble. I'm personally not a gambler.
Okay.
I like to make calculated decisions.
So you don't
based on
take
what's
risks.
I
You not
do,
risk. Okay.
but depending on what I see happening, I would rather go into something that I know, but that I can do myself, rather than depend on a market that I can't control.
Okay. Interesting. So what message would you tell the risk takers?
So, it's kind of in the sense that when you're taking risks, know your lady.
Okay.
Understand what you're getting yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
Today, okay, I can take a risk on projects because I know what it takes, but I can't take a risk on opening up a hospital because I don't know what it takes to run a hospital.
True.
So I would take risks in my own lane, rather than going on to doing a business that I don't know anything about. And that's how, that's the reason why I did the brokerage, because selling is one of the biggest component of the development.
Yeah.
Anyone can develop a building, but you need to know what it takes to sell.
100%. What do you believe is the secret recipe for selling? Because selling is hard. It's not an easy task. Some people say selling is easy. Not at all. What's the recipe?
Recipe wise, there's no secret to it. It's all about the approach. It's all about your way of communicating, your marketing strategies, or positioning also. And when you talk from a position of strength, you can sell a lot better. When you talk in the sense of that, why a certain product will change your life, rather than talking about price, or you have to create value.
Correct.
There's no secret of that sort, but it's all about creating or positioning the value that you will bring to a person's life.
I agree. On that note, in what ways do you believe your developments can support small and medium-sized enterprises in Dubai in terms of affordability?
So here's the thing, when I was talking about the 9 to 10% returns, I want, and this is why I say I wanted our investors to make money, is because I did the pricing according to today's projections.
Okay.
I didn't do it to the future projections. A lot of the developers would say, oh, invest today so you can earn up to 7-8% returns on the future model. But for us, we didn't do that. We were like, what's going on right now in the current rental terms? So let's say if Motor City today is trading anywhere between 150 to 160 or even 140 dirhams per square foot.
Okay.
If someone invested with us today, we're selling at around 1,500, 1,450 when first launched. They would earn potentially 9 to 10% return if the project was ready today. So you can't even imagine, or I don't want to say promises. If it was ready, you can say within 2 to 3 years, or if our projection is in 2 years, whatever the market would be in 2 years, you're earning over 10%.
Okay.
But we're not saying that. We're saying invest with us today and you could potentially earn 9 to 10% return, because that's what's going on in the market right now. We're not talking about the future. We're talking about right now.
So it's right now. So invest with Zane Developments.
Yeah.
Is there any final message that you would like to share with our audience that's watching us today? Perhaps from Mr. Zane yourself to the audience, why Zane Developments?
Why Zane Developments is very easy. We're different. We're not your average developer. We're positioning ourselves very carefully within the commercial segment. Our availability, our inventory, or whatever we do launch will be investor focused. Yes, it is for an end user. I believe an investor and end user are the same thing. People tend to differentiate, but no. When you're buying something, even if it's for yourself, it's still an investment. It's still money that's being poured in. So for us, we're different in the sense that our pricing model is, our core component is for the investor to make money. And that's what we would see even in our future project that we're going to come up with Liwan very shortly as well.
Okay.
And that is purely, again, when we launch it, it's going to be for the investors. And our idea is that how do we give a minimum of 9 to 10% returns to our investor.
And so Liwan projects, where will it be? In which location?
It's in Liwan.
Okay.
On the Dubai Lane Road.
Okay.
So it will be another commercial development as well. Also offices. It's going to be a bit more wellness infused. So we're going to have a gym, clinic, things that we're going to lease out to big names that I can't give out right now.
You cannot give us a scoop pick for GNTALKS?
Honestly, no, not right now.
Name?
But we do have big people on board already.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much. Mr. Zane, it was a pleasure to have you with us today on GNTALKS. And any last word you want to say?
Thank you so much. And again, thank you for coming down to our office. Invest with Zane Developments.
Amazing. Thank you for having us today. And this was the end of today's show. Stay tuned to another well-established business in the UAE and globally. Stay tuned.